What's up, everyone? September just dropped some absolute bangers in the AI and tech world. And honestly, I'm still processing everything that went down. We're talking about 4 major developments that could literally reshape how we work, create, and interact with technology. I just pulled off what might be the most aggressive pricing move in AI history. Meta finally cracked the code on AR glasses that don't make you look like a cyborg. YouTube basically handed creators an entire AI production studio. And China showed us what happens when AI meets strict cultural boundaries. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Not every revolutionary announcement actually lives up to the hype. But these 4, they're different. They're not just incremental improvements. They're paradigm shifts that will ripple through industries for years to come. So buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into what these changes actually mean for real people doing real work. Let's start with the bombshell that has every AI company scrambling to recalculate their pricing models. xAI just launched Grok 4 Fast, and they're claiming a 98% cost reduction compared to the original Grok 4, while maintaining nearly identical performance. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like classic Silicon Valley marketing BS, right? But when I dug into the actual numbers, there's real substance here. Here's how they pulled it off. Grok 4 Fast uses about 40% fewer reasoning tokens than the flagship model. Think of it like this. Instead of a student spending 30 minutes pondering every exam question, they've trained the AI to reach the same conclusions in just 12 minutes. The key insight is that a lot of AI reasoning is actually redundant overthinking. Most problems don't need the full computational heavy lifting that these models typically throw at them. The pricing is genuinely disruptive. 20 cents per million input tokens, 50 cents per million output tokens. Compare that to GPT-4 at $2.50 for input and $10 for output. We're talking about a 10-fold price reduction. For businesses running AI at scale, this isn't just a nice-to-have discount. This is the difference between AI being a luxury tool and being as ubiquitous as cloud storage. But here's where it gets interesting, and where Elon Musk shows his strategic genius. Instead of trying to beat OpenAI and Anthropic at their own game of raw performance, xAI chose to compete on value, and for 90% of business use cases. Pretty great performance at a fraction of the cost beats absolutely perfect performance at premium prices every single time. What really sets Grok apart, though, is its native integration with X and web search. While ChatGPT and Claude need plugins or external tools to access real-time information, Grok can search, analyze trends, and pull live data directly within the conversation. If you're in marketing, journalism, or any field where staying current matters, this is massive. You're not just chatting with an AI. You're talking to an AI that knows what happened on Twitter 5 minutes ago. The 2 million token context window is another game changer. That's double what GPT-4 Turbo offers, which means you can feed it entire books, lengthy research papers, or massive data sets, and have detailed discussions without the AI forgetting earlier parts of the conversation. For researchers, lawyers, or anyone dealing with complex documents, this removes a major friction point. Now, shifting gears to something you can actually wear. Meta just dropped the Ray-Ban display smart glasses. And for the first time in AR history, we have something that doesn't scream, "I'm wearing experimental tech" from across the room. Don't get me wrong, they're still noticeably chunkier than regular glasses, 69 grams versus 45 for normal frames. But compared to the brick-sized AR headsets we've seen before, this is practically invisible. The real innovation isn't the glasses themselves. It's the neural band wristband that comes with them. This little device reads the micro-muscle signals in your hand, turning subtle finger movements into precise controls. A thumb to index finger pinch becomes a click. Thumb swipes translate to scrolling, and a pinch and twist motion works like a volume knob. The brilliant part? Your hand can be relaxed at your side or tucked in your pocket. No more awkward air tapping that makes you look like you're conducting an invisible orchestra. The display itself is monocular, only in your right eye, with a 600 by 600 pixel resolution covering about 20 degrees of your vision. It's translucent, sitting slightly below and to the right of your center field of view, and only about 2% of the light leaks out, so people around you can't tell when it's active. It's basically like having a smartwatch floating in space that only you can see. Here's the reality check, though. Meta used the first-generation Snapdragon AR1 chip, not the newer AR1 Plus. This decision is puzzling because it shows in the performance. Early reviewers report lag and occasional stuttering in the interface. The neural band works flawlessly, but the glasses themselves feel like they're running on hardware that's already a generation behind. It's like putting a Ferrari engine in a car with bicycle brakes. The bigger issue is something called monocular fatigue. When one eye sees an overlay and the other doesn't, your brain has to work overtime to process the conflicting visual information. For quick glances at notifications or navigation prompts, it's fine. But try watching a video or working for extended periods and you'll feel the strain. A binocular version with eye tracking would solve this, but it would also add weight, complexity, and probably push the price north of $1,200. So what's the verdict? These glasses are a transitional product, not a revolutionary one. Meta is essentially running a large-scale beta test with early adopters to gather feedback for Generation 2. At $800, they're positioned for tech enthusiasts and professionals who can justify the cost for specific use cases: navigation while cycling, discrete notification checking during meetings, or hands-free information access in industrial settings. But here's why this matters more than the product itself. Meta just proved that consumer AR is possible without looking ridiculous or costing $3,000. They've established the baseline that every other company will now have to beat. Apple, Google, and everyone else in AR just got their benchmark. Speaking of benchmarks, YouTube just handed content creators what amounts to a complete AI production studio, and the implications are staggering. We're not talking about minor workflow improvements. We're talking about tools that could fundamentally reshape the creator economy. The automatic A/B testing for titles alone is huge. Creators have been manually testing titles for years, uploading videos and hoping they pick the right hook. Now AI handles that entire process, automatically testing different titles and optimizing for the highest click-through rate. This will almost certainly lead to higher engagement across the platform. But it also means we're about to see an explosion of hyper-optimized, possibly clickbait-heavy titles as AI learns what gets clicks. The auto-dubbing with lip sync is where things get really interesting. Previously, translating content for international audiences required entire production teams. Now AI can dub your video into multiple languages while making it look like you're actually speaking those languages. Creators like MrBeast, who already invest heavily in international content, are about to see their global reach expand exponentially. But smaller creators now have access to the same capability for essentially free. Then there's VO3 Fast, Google's custom video generation model built specifically for shorts. This isn't just video editing, it's video creation. You can apply motion from one video to a still image, completely restyle existing footage, or insert objects using nothing but text prompts. Imagine typing "add falling snow to this beach scene" and watching AI make it happen seamlessly. But here's where I start to worry. These tools are so powerful and easy to use that we're about to see a massive flood of AI-generated content. The barrier to entry for content creation just dropped to practically zero. Anyone with an idea and 5 minutes can now produce content that would have required a full production team just months ago. This creates a fascinating paradox. The tools that were meant to help creators are also commoditizing creativity itself. If AI can generate engaging content at scale, what happens to the creators who built their entire careers on technical skills that AI can now replicate? We're looking at a future where authentic personality and unique perspectives become the only sustainable competitive advantages. The successful creators of tomorrow won't be the ones with the best technical skills. They'll be the ones with the most compelling points of view and the strongest connections with their audiences. AI will handle the production. Humans will provide the soul. This shift is already happening, and it's accelerating fast. Creators who adapt and learn to use these tools as amplifiers for their creativity will thrive. Those who try to compete with AI on technical execution alone will struggle. The key is understanding that AI isn't replacing creativity. It's democratizing the tools of creative expression. Now let's talk about something that gets less attention but might be more important than all the flashy product launches: the geopolitical reshaping of AI itself. DeepSeek just released R1 Safe, a version of their model fine-tuned specifically to comply with Chinese speech regulations, and it's a perfect example of how AI is being molded by national values and political boundaries. Huawei and Zhejiang University took the open-source DeepSeek R1 and retrained it using 1,000 Ascend AI chips to create a model that avoids politically sensitive topics with a 99% success rate in normal conversations. When subjected to more sophisticated prompt attacks and role-playing scenarios, that success rate drops to around 40%, which actually aligns with how most AI safety measures perform under pressure. This isn't just a Chinese phenomenon. Saudi Arabia launched Humane, an Arabic chatbot designed to embody Islamic culture and values. The US has the America's AI Action Plan, which requires government-facing AI systems to be neutral and unbiased, but then defines neutrality in explicitly political terms, rejecting what it calls radical climate dogma, diversity, equity, and inclusion frameworks, critical race theory, transgenderism, unconscious bias, intersectionality, and systemic racism. What we're witnessing is the fragmentation of AI along cultural and political lines. Instead of one global AI ecosystem, we're heading toward a world of Chinese AI, American AI, Islamic AI, and European AI, each reflecting the values and restrictions of their respective societies. For developers and businesses, this creates massive new challenges. Companies operating internationally will need to maintain multiple AI models for different markets. The compliance costs alone could be staggering. Imagine having to ensure your AI assistant behaves appropriately according to Chinese regulations, American political requirements, European privacy laws, and Islamic cultural norms, all simultaneously. But there's a deeper philosophical question here. Should AI reflect the values of the society it serves, or should it aspire to some universal standard of truth and objectivity? Every culture has different perspectives on free speech, appropriate content, historical events, and moral frameworks. As AI becomes more powerful and influential, these differences become impossible to ignore. The pragmatist in me says this fragmentation is inevitable. AI is too powerful a tool to remain culturally neutral. Every society will want AI that aligns with its values and serves its interests. The idealist in me worries that this fragmentation will slow overall progress and prevent humanity from working together on the biggest challenges facing our species. What's really concerning is how this affects innovation. Instead of the entire global research community collaborating to push AI capabilities forward, we're seeing resources split across multiple parallel tracks, each optimized for different political and cultural constraints. The breakthrough that could solve climate change or cure diseases might be delayed because the best minds are working in isolated silos. For individual users, this means the AI you interact with will increasingly depend on where you live and which platforms you use. The same question asked to different AI systems will yield different answers based on the cultural and political training they've received. We're moving toward a world where your AI assistant's personality and knowledge are determined by your government's policies. Looking at these four developments together, a clear pattern emerges. AI is becoming more accessible, more integrated into our daily tools, and more culturally specific. The cost barriers are collapsing, the interface barriers are dissolving, and the cultural barriers are crystallizing into hard boundaries. Grok 4 Fast represents the democratization of advanced AI capabilities. When powerful AI costs a fraction of what it used to, every business, every creator, and every developer can afford to experiment and innovate. This will accelerate AI adoption across industries and unlock use cases we haven't even imagined yet. The Ray-Ban display glasses, despite their current limitations, represent the beginning of the end for the smartphone era. Not immediately, and not completely, but the trajectory is clear. We're moving toward ambient computing, where information and interaction are seamlessly integrated into our environment, rather than confined to rectangular screens. YouTube's AI creator tools represent the automation of creative production. This will lead to an explosion of content quantity, but it will also force creators to compete on authenticity and perspective rather than technical execution. The winners will be those who can use AI as a creative amplifier while maintaining their unique voice and connection with their audience. And the emergence of culturally specific AI models like DeepSeek R1 Safe represents the end of the brief period where AI felt like a global, universal technology. We're entering an era where AI reflects and reinforces the cultural and political boundaries of the offline world. The next 6 months are going to be wild. We'll see a price war in the AI market as OpenAI and Anthropic scramble to match xAI's aggressive pricing. Apple will almost certainly announce a competing AR product, probably at their spring event. YouTube will face increasing pressure to manage the flood of AI-generated content without stifling legitimate creators. And we'll see international tensions rise as different countries implement incompatible AI governance frameworks. But beyond the immediate market dynamics, we're witnessing something much bigger: the transformation of AI from an experimental technology into the fundamental infrastructure of human communication and creativity. The decisions made in the next few years about how this technology develops, who controls it, and what values it embodies will shape human society for generations. The September AI revolution isn't just about new products and features. It's about the moment when artificial intelligence stopped being science fiction and started being the invisible force that mediates how we work, create, learn, and connect with each other. And honestly, we're just getting started. The real question isn't whether these technologies will change everything. They will. The question is whether we'll guide that change thoughtfully or let it happen to us. Based on what I've seen this month, we're at a critical inflection point where the choices we make today will determine whether AI amplifies the best of human creativity and connection, or whether it fragments us into isolated bubbles of algorithmic confirmation bias. Either way, it's going to be one hell of a ride.